everybody, it's Katie from mountainmodernlife.com, and while you're used to seeing my husband Eric up here, I decided it was time to get over my fear of the camera, be a bigger part of this YouTube channel. So what better way than to answer a question I get asked all the time over on our blog, and that's, how do we hang the artwork in our RV? Now, to give you a little bit of a backstory, I'm pretty indecisive and I'm very much a visual person. So whenever we were hanging things up in the RV when we first moved in about 8 months ago, a lot of the frames I actually just hung up with thumbtacks. And that's something that I did in our rental home in the past also, because it doesn't create a very big hole in the wall. It gives me time to kind of assess and see if I like where something's at before I make it a little bit more permanent. Now, while we used screws and anchors and hooks and command strips and all kinds of things throughout RV, which we'll get into in another post, today I want to talk about my favorite way of actually just hanging up frames and simple artwork throughout your RV that's not going to put holes in your walls. And that's actually using industrial strength Velcro. So what I love about this versus the command hooks, and I love the command hooks and the command strips, but the Velcro actually seems to be cheaper. So that's one of the reasons why I like it, and a little bit goes a long way. So, and with it being industrial strength, it gives us a lot more security knowing that when we're driving down the road, things aren't going to fall off the wall. And I can tell you that they don't. So that's a plus. Now, just to kind of show you how it works is, for instance, this frame is up there with some Velcro. So I have some pieces attached to the wall, and then I have some pieces attached to the back. And just to give you a heads up, this was the first one I actually did, and I'm pretty impatient, and I don't like to measure very much. I know I should do it more often, but I kind of just eyeballed it, and it seemed to work out okay. And as you can see, it's actually pretty forgiving, which is nice too, because you have kind of some wiggle room to kind of get it up in place, and then you can just kind of push on it, and then there you go. Now, like I said, this was the first one I put up. I did get a little better as I started to put other ones out throughout the RV. And one thing I would recommend doing is, instead of doing vertical strips like I did, I would do horizontal strips and maybe just do two kind of like longer ones, like at the top and bottom. And that way you can make sure they're level, and it would be a lot easier just to kind of gauge where they would go. So that would be one thing. Some tips for as far as before you actually adhere them, you do want to make sure that the back of the surface is clean. And the way I did that was just using rubbing alcohol, which is similar to what I do when I used command hooks and command strips throughout our RV. So that gives it, a clean base before you put the Velcro on there. And then it's supposed to take, I think, 24 hours before it's more permanent. I just kind of threw things up right away and haven't had any issues with it, but just something to know. Also, I do have another wooden frame. It's more in the hallway kitchen area, and the back seemed to have some kind of sealer on it. So even though I cleaned the back with the rubbing alcohol, the Velcro wasn't really sticking to it. So what I did was I just took some sandpaper and I just kind of roughed it up a little bit and then cleaned it and then redid it, and it worked perfectly. So if you do have a surface that seems a little bit slick, or maybe there's some kind of finish on there, you might want to consider kind of lightly sanding it with some rough sandpaper. But other than that, we've had these up for a couple months more secured, and we've driven and everything stays in place. It's great because we have less things to corral when we're moving places, but it is removable. Now, another great thing about this is that I'm still able to take the frames down and switch out the prints, which is awesome because, as you may know, I actually create and sell some of the printables in our shop, and that's what I use throughout our RV and a lot of the frames. So it's really easy for me to just pop off the frame, take it out, switch it out, and then stick it back up there. And for those that know me, I actually do that a lot. Sometimes I'll put the same print back in there afterwards, but I just like to kind of see what things look like and kind of move them around, and this makes it really easy to do that. Now, I will say that with command strips or command Velcro strips, which we do have in other areas of the RV, they are marketed as being, they don't ruin the walls, they're easier to remove. Now, I can say I haven't removed this Velcro from our wall of the RV, so I don't know exactly what it's going to do. So just bear that in mind. But when I was reading tips about removing it, it did say that you could use a blow dryer to kind of heat it up, and then use a razor blade and kind of just remove it from the wall. So something to think about. But if you're looking for ways to hang, artwork or just anything that's light or even more heavy duty things, I would definitely suggest checking out industrial strength Velcro. I hope this video helped you if you're looking for ways to hang things in your RV. And if you have any tips for different ways to hang things up, we would love to hear about them in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our page, visit our blog, Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you again soon.